evening, Omaha. That was pathetic. Try again. Good evening, Omaha. I enjoyed that so much more. Welcome once again to this kind of March Madness spoken word mosh pit that we're putting on. Brought to you by Evangelical Productions. We would have a really bright flashing logo back here, but we weren't able to get our hands on the projector today. So just assume that there's a really cool winged logo back here that's going to actually talk about our upcoming show Dreaming, which is an art, fashion, and performance show that will be from May 4th to May 6th. Over at the Diamond on 16th, if you want some more information, we've got cards for you. Along the way, we also, if you may notice, we have a red cup, and it's right there on that table. And that red cup is where we're going to be taking donations for Planned Parenthood. Because the nice lady who was supposed to make it to Planned Parenthood apparently also, like me, had car issues today, and she's not going to make it. But that doesn't necessarily mean that we will not take donations for these nice and wonderful people. So if you've got a couple of bucks after you're done buying a beer and having dinner and all of that, feel free to throw something into that cup, and we'll get it to them. I'd like to take the opportunity to also say thank you very much to nice people here. I've been noticing all of you eating, so I don't have to tell you that. Please feel free to tip your wait staff. And with that, I'm going to pass it along to Mikey Taylor, who thankfully is fully dressed.
Thank you very much. I know what you're thinking. What is this asshole doing on stage so early?
Exactly.
You guys are not nearly drunk enough for me yet, but you can be with me all night, because I'm going to see this evening. As David mentioned, yes, I am wearing my clothes. So, if you want to hear a good story about that, come to our next show, which is this Friday right here. I'll be telling a wonderful story of what happened to me after I left last month. Yeah. If you weren't here, I was in a bathroom in a diaper when I left. So, yeah, it was interesting. Now, it's March Madness. It's also right about the middle of March. So I'm going to sit here with a warning. Beware the Ides of March. Julius Caesar didn't listen to it, look where he is.
Famous.
If you were listening, he might have been here with us today. Maybe not. However, ladies, you have something in common with Julius Caesar because history repeats itself. You ladies now have a group of senators that are very concerned with what's being stuck in your body. So pay attention. Beware the Ides of March. But you don't have to be one of these samurai with spoken word, because they won't attack you from behind. It's going to be a full frontal assault. Now, if we're given a choice, take the sticks and stones, because our words may hurt you. I don't often get a chance to read some of my poetry and things I've written from my little poetry. This is for sale, poetry. You can get it online, or you can get it right back here at the table. Talk to me. But I've got a couple of things that I want to read that appear in this book, and also one thing that will appear in my upcoming book, should be out this summer, Poetry Volume 2, The Nightmare Parade. This one is called Hatred for a Friend. Have you ever felt hatred for a friend? I don't mean hatred toward a friend, but hatred for a friend. Hatred that you know is felt but not shown. The strong facade that was put up was nothing. It proved no match for the unity of one. Two people linked in a mysterious manner. Two people feeling the same feelings, yet only one acting physically. Two people feeling the same way, yet only one showing it. The person acting and the person showing were not the same one. The lover and the fighter. If the energy of both can be put into one, that one would be the most awesome machine ever known to man. The romantic and the badass. Can anyone fathom it? I don't think so. Because the romantic is a badass in his own right, and the badass is a romantic in his own way. I have felt hatred for a friend. The double cross that never should be. The act that never should have happened. The one thing I tried to prevent. One man and one woman. A thing I've destroyed many times, but for you, my friend, I have tried to preserve. Another man I have been many times, but for you, my friend, I have never been. a stranger. I have never been, my friend. But the one thing that will destroy one woman and one man, this is the thing I will destroy for you, my friend. That's that. This appears in the book in 3 different parts. But it was originally a song that I wrote with a band that I sang for that never really made it out of the basement. The band was called Moose Knuckle. Yeah, that was fun. If you guys know what that is, it's pretty disgusting. I'm sorry, you're eating some of me. This is called Struggle, and it's in 3 acts, but I put it all back together. Act 1, beaten down. I feed this machine. The machine don't feed me. When I was born, they broke the mold around me. I tried as hard as I could to act the way you think I should. As hard as I fought, I never thought I would struggle. Girl, it's a struggle every day with you. Struggle. I have to struggle just to stay with you. My dreams never turn out quite the way they ought to be. Thought I was so lucky the day that you found me. Did everything you said I should do. But you ripped up my heart and tore it right in two. Yeah, it's a struggle just to stay with you. I struggle every day I'm with you. Act 2, reflection. Once you were my dream. Yeah, you were the queen. I would do anything for you. But you turned it around. Kicked me when I was down, left me there for dead. Your love took its toll. You ripped out my soul. And dignity, you stole every shred. I took a fall. You made me crawl. Left me cold below inside my head. And I struggle. Yeah, I struggle here without you. This is where he gets really pissed off. Act 3, realization. Ripped off the masks that used to hide my face. Memories of you, the thoughts I cannot erase. From all my wounds, the blood, it hits the floor. Pain and despair I can't take anymore. Struggle. It was a struggle every day with you. Struggle. I had to struggle just to stay with you. Struggle. I still struggle here without you. Struggle for my mind, struggle for my soul, struggle for sanity, struggle for control, struggle for love, struggle for pride. I can't explain this struggle inside. Struggle for truth, struggle for lies. Every time I see your empty eyes, I struggle. It's got nothing to do with you. And the last one, and then I'll shut up for a little bit and let some talent get up here. This is from the upcoming book. It's called Click. Click. I hear the clock. Click. It won't ever stop. Click. I rack my brain. Click. For a way to kill this pain. Click. Another minute goes by. Click. And I ask myself why. Click. As the time draws near. Click. I start to feel the fear. Click. I start to doubt. Click. Is this my only way out? Click. Nowhere to run. Click. Shit. Forgot to load the gun. Thank you. Now to start us off here with talent, we're going to call up our normal MC, but he's going to step out here and do a little piece for you. This is Christopher Palmer.
Mikey, I got a question. Yes. When's the dwarf gonna get here? Vern Troyer could not make it today. This is my little swan song for Monday night because I gotta move back to Chicago. I'm still gonna be in Omaha every couple of weeks doing the doc thing, which is what I do, and you know, God bless all of that. It's been taken off, so there will be Dr. Sanguinary in Chicago. So they're going to get a little taste of that, and I've been very fortunate with all the things that have been happening with some of the big corporate sponsors I got. But I kind of just wanted to do a little piece of kind of appreciation. How many of you have been in a band? All right, you know what a pain in the ass that is. I was a band up in Chicago for 10 years. 10 years I had this band together. So, and I don't know, let's have another show of hands. How many of you have lived anywhere else except Omaha? Okay, good. You'll know what I'm talking about then. There's that David Bowie song, Fame. What you need, you gotta borrow. Omaha's a good place for that. Seriously. If you need somebody to help you out and, let's say, take photos, you can pretty much find a competent photographer in town that's going to help you out and not rip you off, or you can do it for free. Need a place to practice? There's artist lots all over the place. Everybody seems to know everybody in town here, and you know, if you need something, you can get on Facebook and boom, it happens. You know, I'm very grateful to a lot of people who have helped out with the whole sanguinary thing. If I've needed something, I get on Facebook, boom, pow, boom, it happens. It's something incredible because I lived in Chicago for 20 years. The subject of this little thank you, I guess, is rock star versus musician. Back in the day when I had this band, you know, we rehearsed. We were kind of lucky. I had a friend who was a confirmed bachelor, and he had this humongous house because he worked for his pop, who owned this giant HVAC company. So we had a whole living room to practice in, which was a luxury. Because when you're in the Chicago area, most guys, they have to pay $100 or $200 for something that's half the size of this stage. And anyway, we recorded we did a little cassette EP and we did a CD. And I go to the record store in the town that I lived in, an actual record store. Old Hippie ran it. I go in there to hang up my poster. And I was working for a printing company, so I was cooler than a lot of the bands because I had an 11 by 17 full color poster, while the other guys had these black and white piece of shit. I'm hanging up the poster in the record store owner, this old hippie. His name was Skip, which was like a lot of the records he sold me. He looks at it, he's like, "So, you guys got a CD?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah. God, we spent $2,000 on this thing, and it's cool." He's like, "So what do you want to be? A musician or a rock star?" Now, I had to think about that for a minute because, you know, I'm a big fan of classic 60s rock, Beatles, Stones, Who, Kings, or whatever, and I'm like, I don't know, I don't want to be Kurt Cobain or Bobby Crew or whatever, you know, kind of whatever happens is going to happen, you know, we work hard to do this disc, and getting a gig in Chicago is a major pain in the ass because there's one asshole that runs every single decent bar from the fucking lake all the way out to the furthest suburb. This little troll of a guy. I won't say his name. Joey DeMarco. I hate him more than life itself. But anyway, we had to bust our ass to convince this guy that we're worthy to play in any bar he's got, especially in the suburbs, the area that we're from. And he's like, "Well, you guys do originals." And at the time, every band at every bar was either a tribute band or a cover band. So we made some concessions and said, we're going to be 50-50. So we go out and we play a gig. And I get a fax from him, and he's like, "I got a complaint from the manager, the owner of the bar." And I said, "Why? The place was packed. It was great. They gave us a cut of the bar. They said we could come back. It was awesome." It's like, "You guys played too many B-sides." And I'm like, "B-sides? What B-sides?" We're playing Stone Temple Pilots. You know what I'm saying? "Oh, those are our originals." So I sent him a fax and said, "Here's all your B-sides. Our originals must have been B-side sounding." And I was thinking back to what the record store, I said, "Do you want to be a rock star or do you want to be a musician?" And I said, "What's the difference?" And he said, "The rock star, he's the guy that relies on the rest of the band to cover his ass. He might look good, he might sound good, he's good for that hour or two he's on the stage, but after that, he's completely worthless." The musician, on the other hand, is the guy that sits down for hours on end, every day, running scales, learning new notes, writing, figuring out, you know, his business acumen, hooking up with other musicians like him. You know, they might form a band, it might not work, but, you know, you move on. You're always going to be working, always. 10 years I had this band, kept it together, tried to do a second CD, and like every other band, you know, I had to get rid of this guy who smoked too much dope, or this guy, he got married and was just turned into an asshole. So anyway, 6 months ago I moved back here to Omaha. So I got laid off of my big artist job up in Chicago, and I figured, come down here and work on the Sanguinary thing. 6 months well spent. You know, I got to know a lot of people. This is not Chicago. The people here are very warm. They're very friendly. There are no rock stars in Omaha. I don't think I've met one. There are a lot of musicians here. There are people that will very freely say, hey, you need some help? I'm here for you. I want to help you do what you're doing, you know? And I'm like, well, if there's any way I can help you out in the same capacity, you know, let me know. People are very cool here. I've been in like a million artist lofts up here, especially in Old Market. And I talked to some of the guys there, I'm like, what's this guy charging you for this loft? Because my God, in Chicago, you'd pay $500 a month to be up here. They're like, oh, we don't pay anything. You know, he just lets us keep his stuff here, and you know, as long as we keep an eye on the place, everything's cool. And I'm like, wow, you guys got a fucking maid in the shade. So anyway, I'm just gonna wrap this up and say, this is a town of musicians. This is a town of people who, you're never gonna be a rock star. But you take the time to perfect your craft, whether it's writing or music or poetry. You publish something, you put your disc out, you put another disc out, you put another disc out. You do something tangible. I was thinking back to my philosophy class back in college, and they're like, what's the meaning of life? And I said, leaving something tangible behind. There's a lot of it here. And in conclusion, I'd like to say, all those tangible things will end up on eBay or at a garage sale. So, but at least you did it. God damn it. So, thank you.
Thank you. A lot of good work that Chris does with the Dr. Sanguinary thing. So if you're ever able to get out to an event, please do. And we hope to see you again real soon.
But you throw the mic like
I know.
Oh, here, you're fine. You got it.
Here?
Yeah.
Our next performer, the first time that I saw him perform, talked about, what was it, were you a hippopotamus in a tutu or?
Cross-dresser.
A cross-dressing hippopotamus. So I'm sure we're going to get some good things from Chris Wigg, who's welcome to the stage.
All right. So before I start, I want to direct this to the camera right there. I want everybody to raise their glass. And we're saying farewell to Will's appendix. My brother-in-law, Will, was scheduled to read up here today, and he actually had an appendectomy on Saturday? Yesterday. And by God, he was still trying to get up here.
He might be here Friday.
But yeah, he still might be here Friday. So, to sour that sweet moment, I will look back at the camera. Everybody, thank you. I will say, Will, there's also 2 documented evidence that I've had sex with your sister. Their names are Liam and Xander. So I wanted to also, this is a great moment to call out all these special moments, but last Friday marked the 10-year anniversary of my wedding. And thank you. And we actually had dated for 7 years before that. So it's what I like to call a long-term relationship. I wanted to share one quick snippet about my wife, real quick, and tell you the story about Well, I could tell you about our love, and we have children and a house, and we've built a great foundation, and that's all fantastic. Yep, okay, good. So, it was about several years ago, she was pregnant, and we had a Omaha snowstorm, and she comes into the house super late in the morning, she needs to go to work, and she says to me, I can't get the car out of the driveway, can you come help push? And so I kind of crawl out of bed and I go out there, probably wearing shorts and a winter coat, and as is my way. And she gets in the car and I said, okay, all you need to do is just throw it in reverse and drive and then I'll push. So as she's doing this, I'm pushing this car and just vein is popping out of my head and I'm just, roar! And this thing is just fucking not moving. And finally I just give up and I can't stand it. And I go to the side of the window and I said, is the car in park? And she says, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And so she throws it in reverse. I go back out there and I'm just glaring like, so start pushing this car and it's like slowly going and it's like just ever so much. And I go back up there and I said, do you have the parking brake on? And she said, I'm really not trying to do this. I'm super sorry. The third incident, if the first two hadn't made the check there, was that she actually had her foot on the brake the third time, and I just said, fuck it, I'm done. And she wound up then taking her foot and hitting the gas and backed out the drive. But that's not what I'm going to talk about tonight. So, I work for I talked about my employment last time I was up here, so I'll talk about my current employment now that I'm up here, and tell you about some interesting adventures that I've recently have had. I work for a social networking company called LinkedIn, and I run the fraud department there, and we have centers throughout the world, and they send me to these different places all around the world to kind of train and deal with some people. And recently I was asked to go to India. In the month of December, I find myself becoming a little emo, where I suddenly start to think about American consumption, and I think about like all the things that we really have here. And I have 2 kids, and I think about like gift giving and how it's sort of unique to our part of the world, and I don't want to spoil my kids, but yet, you know, as we all do, we want to spoil our kids. So usually in the month of January, that feeling kind of subsides, and that goes away, and we start in the new year, right? But that January, I had a business trip that took me to Las Vegas. And suddenly I was really aware of American consumption, because that's like, right? That's like the butthole of consumption. And that feeling didn't go away in January. And I was hoping that feeling would go away in February, but I got on an airplane to go to India, and I was quite wrong. So I flew 1 hour to Chicago, and from Chicago it's 16 hours to Delhi, and from Delhi it was about 2.5 hours to Hyderabad. So in layman's speak, that's take an Ambien, wake up, take another Ambien, wake up, and watch about 1.5 of the Lords of the Rings. I've never slept so much and never felt rested, if you will. When I arrived there, we had, the company had hired a driver to escort us around, and they took us to our hotel. And the traffic there was unlike anything I've ever experienced. By raise of hand real quick, who's ever been to India? Awesome, great. I could just make shit up now. So the traffic was like unlike anything I've ever seen before. No lanes, no stop signs, no traffic lights. You just kind of go. And I mean, I've been to some pretty crazy places like St. Lucia, where it's like you drive and on one side it's rock wall and it's one lane and you share it between 2 cars going, you know, opposite directions, and on the other side is death. But it didn't compare to this place. It was crazy. And when they dropped us off at our hotel, which you have to go through like airport security to even get into, I stood out my window. It was a Friday night, and I was looking outside at about 8:30 at night, and this traffic was just nonstop going. Imagine like LA, New York, kind of just rush hour going. I went to bed, and I woke up kind of fucked up about 3 a.m. From the jet lag. And I went out to the window, and I opened it up, and I looked, and this traffic's just still going nonstop. It doesn't matter. Tuesday, Mother's Day, garbage day, February, it's always going. And mind you, it's not all cars. Like 60% of it's like mopeds and motorcycles, and you see some crazy shit. Like if you think about in the 70s, 80s, with car seats didn't really exist. Like we just sat in the front of the car, right? And we were happy about it. And we liked it. And nowadays, like, you know, I'm told, well, your kid can't get out of this car seat till he's of this age and blah, blah, blah. No. There, I saw a scooter with...
Family scooter.
Right. With the driver had a helmet. The toddler that was standing on the running boards holding up here did not. On the back was the mom sitting side saddle holding the groceries, and on the other side, sitting side saddle, was the daughter holding a giant picture frame that they purchased. And it was just mind-blowing. So the hotel was filled with little amenities that were not very continental. There was about 10 cable channels, of which 8 of provided cricket. A lot of cricket, and I wound up becoming a big fan by the time I left. And the hotel served nothing but Indian food, or as they call over there, food. And I'm not a fan. I was willing to try, and I've got a large iron stomach, and that it didn't faze me. It's just like what Americans think the Indian food is like is similar to Tex-Mex, in my opinion. Everybody's like, yes. And so it was just a little bit different. It was good, but I couldn't imagine eating it every day, and it was difficult. So we go to our employment, and the offices are set up a little different than what we have in our Omaha office. And there are these women in full saris dressed out with like bouquets of roses. And they had a literal red carpet that was out. And as I walked in, they were like, oh, hello, Chris. And they like handed me a bouquet of roses. And I was like, oh, okay. And they take us upstairs, and the woman who was hosting us we had like 36 employees there, and one of the women who was hosting us, our contact there, put us in this office room. And I said, no, I'd really like to kind of sit out on the floor with the rest of the team and kind of socialize and talk to them in there. And she's like, no, this is good. And I said, no, I'd kind of like to be out there. And she's like, sorry, smoke screen, and she was gone. And so then we worked in this like little office by ourselves, and nobody interrupted us, nobody talked to us. Anytime you walk out, everybody stood up. It was very humble and very nice, and it's like just going to take a piss, and completely surreal. So for food that day, I was gonna go eat with the staff. LinkedIn caters lunches, very nice employer. And I was going to go eat with them, and they ate downstairs in this open area. And I walk out, and the host is like, no, come upstairs. We have some food upstairs for you. So I know I'm fat, but her idea for what Americans consumed apparently was 2 medium pizzas apiece. And there were 4 of us there total, so there was like 8 pizzas. And yeah, and then what Indians think of what pizza is probably similar to the Mexican versus Tex-Mex. It's back at you. So the next day, I insisted. I said, hey, I'm going to sit out there. And she's like, no, you'll be very comfortable in here. Just very like insisting. And you're going to be in here. And I said, no, I'd really like to sit out there. Sorry, the internet won't work. You just can't. Can't, bye, click, leaves. And it's the same thing. I go to eat downstairs, and she's like, no, all of you come upstairs. You're gonna come upstairs. So she forces us upstairs, and she's like, but I got you Indian food today. And she had taken a vote with the other people I was traveling with, and the first woman, she's like, do you like Indian food? And she was like, no, I don't. They said to the second woman, she's like emphatically like, no. And they said to me, I was like, yeah, I'll eat whatever, that's fine. And so she's like, well, you'll like this. And she starts dishing this food out, and she's giving to us, and it was all right, it was fine. And my travel mates, they're like, yeah, it's okay. And she's like, yeah, I thought it would. It's not that spicy, because this is what we serve our babies. So my coworker was basically like, oh, fuck you, and like kind of pushes that back. So day 2 afternoon, let me say, I'm standing in our hotel, and I'm looking out into an empty lot, and I see a man pooping. So I feel the need, and I call my coworker, who is literally one floor below me, and I said, hey, look out the window. You'll never believe what you're going to see. And it was so classic. I wish I'd recorded it. She goes, and I hear, oh, son of a bitch. Come to find out later, that was like the 5th dude she had seen doing that. I know that, again, going back to why I love my wife says to me on the phone when I was talking to her, she says, dude, you know what you need to do? You need to go outside to that empty lot, and you need to call her up and be like, dude, look out the window. I didn't not because I was afraid to, but more so I was lazy and didn't want to go back through security. So the next day at the office, I walked in and I said, hey, who's absent today? And they're like, oh, so-and-so isn't here. And I said, then that's fucking my desk. And I sat down there, and they were like, okay. And I unplugged the Cat 5 cable, and I plugged it into my laptop. Oh my God, the internet worked. And all was said and done. It was great. And people started talking to me, and I felt like the purpose of my trip was starting to become realized. And I gave some lectures. Oh, by the way, so my privacy lectures that I usually give have a little bit of humor in them. And what I found was being in a room with like 40 local Indian talking and doing some of the humor that I have in that, it was like, and then you would hear, and then afterwards I said to the guy I was sitting next to, I said, did that go okay? And he's like, that was really hilarious. That was really well done. So I decided to eat lunch with them, right? This was my objective. And I go downstairs, and I'm not going to have it. They ordered me Subway upstairs, and I wasn't going to have it. And I go downstairs, and they don't use utensils. You use your hand, and I was like, whatever, dude, let's do this. I don't care. And everybody kept staring at me like, he's really eating that food, and he's really, like, he's going to freak out. Is he going to jump up? Is this too hot? And it's not. It's like, it's not that spicy. It's not that bad. Afterwards, one of the guys, he goes out to go smoke, and I go, and I'm hanging with him, and it's like a dozen of us, and it's just men, a dozen dudes, we're just kind of standing there, nobody's saying a word. And he's like, why are you here? Do you smoke? And I said, no, I don't smoke, I just hang around smokers. This is where you learn shit, this is where you talk. And he's like, okay, and nobody says anything. A few minutes go by, and finally he says, do you want one of these? And I said, one of what? And he points over, and this dude pulls out this little plastic baggie, and he's like, and I said, okay, but what is that? And he says some term, and I don't understand. And I said, I don't know, what is that? And he said, oh, that describes the flavor. And I said, okay, but what is it? Oh, no, it's like a mint. It's good for you. Good for you. And I said, okay. Okay. Now, right? So on a side note, you should know that I used to teach a camp back in the day, a theater camp, and we used to go to a melodrama, and on that night we went to kind of a buffet thing that we took the kids to. And I remember one year there was a gaggle of little preteen girls who were playing some Frankenstein over there where they were like pouring some soy sauce and some salt and ketchup and mayo and Mr. Pibb and gravy and all this kind of fun stuff. And they were just giggling their asses off like, oh. And so they come over and they're just like shaking and they said, you look really thirsty, Chris. I got you this drink. And I said, oh, okay, cool, thanks. I am really thirsty. And I just pounded it. I just like, drank it, put it down, and I was like, thanks. That was really refreshing. And they were just utterly shocked, like, what? They took the glass and they were like, turned around and I saw one girl like, oh! I couldn't take it. So I held my composure for about 3 minutes that I was counting internally in my head. And I excused myself ever so politely, and I went to the restroom and proceeded to lick the bathroom floor. Fucking disgusting. Horrible. It's just wrenching. So back to India. He hands me this mint, said mint, and I take it, and it's like a wad. And I put it in my mouth, and it tasted like eating pine nuts, maple leaf, scope, black licorice, failure, somewhere around there. And it was just horrible, but I kept the iron face. And they're all like, waiting. He's eating poison, he's going to die. And I just was like, yep, I can see why you guys eat this. I finally get that down. Oh, it's horrendous. Terrible, terrible, terrible. And about 3 minutes after I ate it, I felt like I had walked out of a dentist's office. Like everything was just clean, and I was like, oh, I could do that. I could see that. And really sort of getting involved with that really kind of flipped that switch, and I started to see that culture a little bit different than me trying to peg my Western views in this culture that doesn't have those Western views. And it was me that was really askew. And I realized that a ton of people go over there and understand that and figure that out. And that was my aha moment. We went walking around that neighborhood, and it's interesting because there they have the no business residential building laws. And so somebody could just build a Burger King right next to your house, and it doesn't really matter. And so they had, across the street was a famous Bollywood star who had like a $5 million home. And a $5 million Indian home is probably like a $25 million American home. It has multiple stories. It was just epically gorgeous. And on the sides of these houses that have like 10-foot walls, they have like these shanty kind of like lean-to cardboard, I don't know, like desolate, homeless-looking shelters that are just made. And there's like 10 people that live in this area, and they're right like up against the wall of this like very epic house. And I asked my sponsor, I said, this is like everywhere that I walk. I see this everywhere. What's going on? And she says, well, no, it's the way it's designed. They can't extradite them off the land, so these guys usually tell them to live there. And then in turn, they hire them, and they are their drivers, they are the people that open their gates, they're the people that take care of their kids, and this is kind of that relationship. And it's, they have very good jobs. It's a very good job. And the driver, when they would drive us to this place, they would drop us off, and I would say, we're definitely staying until 5 o'clock, I'll just see you later. And they're like, no, we'll be out front. And I said, no, but you're not needed. And they're like, nope, it's cool, we're here. And they would just stay for 8 hours a day. And I asked her about that, and I said, why there's rows of these drivers, and they're not even like socializing. They're not putting media in their head like I would be. They're not reading what's going on. Oh no, they're on duty, they're working. It's a very good job. It's a very good job. And so it's amazing to see the type of work that some people in our office, they answer emails, right? Customer service kind of stuff. And they bitch about it a lot. And I recently had regaled some of this to them, and I basically it said it's a very good job. Like, you need to check yourself, like, kill that cancerous entitlement and like realize what we really have. So I'm gonna leave it on a sappy note, and I just wanted to thank you very much for your time tonight.
Now, if you want to make an impression and your Western values while you're in India, you should have ordered a steak. They got cows running around everywhere. No, talking about the food and the different things reminded me of a couple really short little stories that I've experienced while I was, one when I was out and about, and one when I tried some different food here in town. The first one I was in Mexico, and I was on a cruise, and when we hit Cozumel, I was gonna try some like authentic Mexican food. So everybody was going to Subway, and I'm like, I'm going to fucking Subway, I'm in Mexico. So I went over, and first of all, I know it's gonna be hard to believe, but I got really fucking drunk.
Really? No.
And then I found this guy that had like a little ice cream cart, and he was making tacos. And I went up and I said, I'll take 4. And he just goes, I go, what's in it? And he goes, beef. Okay, yeah, sounds good. So he put them in, gave me 4 tacos, and I ate them and jumped in a taxi cab with my yard of margarita and went to the next bar. I get back on the cruise ship, and our cabin steward says, hey, where'd you go drink? I know you were drinking because you came in late and you slept on the floor in your underwear. That's where he found me the next morning. And I told him I went to Carlos and Charlie's, I went here and there, blah, blah, blah. Where'd you eat? I said, this guy had this little cart that he brought up. No. What'd he say it was? I go, it's a taco. He goes, no. Meat. I said, beef? He goes, we call that stray. And I go, stray? What the fuck are you talking about? He goes, you either ate dog or cat. And I said, I don't give a shit, it tasted good. It wasn't my dog or cat, I don't care. The other instance, I went with my parents to I think it was Vietnamese or Thai, I think it was Thai actually. And of course, I gotta be a smart ass, and I had a couple beers, and started looking at the menu, and this one thing on the menu said, PHAD PRICK. Now, back when I was in school, they introduced something called phonics. Phonics is sounding out words by the way they're spelled, but phonics is spelled with a PH. So I told my parents, I don't get this, because that looks like Pahonics to me. And so I'm trying to figure this out, I'm like, PHAD PRICK. Fat prick. So, of course, I start in when the guy comes over and goes, what you want to eat? I said, I take a fat prick, please. And my dad's like, gives me this death look like, shut the fuck up. I've seen it many times in my life. And the guy goes, you want a fat prick? I go, I want a fat prick. He goes, you like your fat prick hot? I said, no, medium, please. I wanted a medium fat prick. This thing came out, and it was like fucking eating molten lava mixed with like shards of glass. That's going down. I had been drinking beer. Let's just say I never will order a medium fat prick again. That's enough of my bullshit. If you guys know our next performer, you're probably scared to death. And I know he has a new piece that he's going to be doing, and I've only heard the title, and I am excited to hear his new piece.
I'm afraid.
Have you heard the title?
No, I know, if you're excited, I'm afraid.
Oh yeah, I want to hear this. Please welcome Mr. Ryan Lacey. Yeah, speaking of fat bricks. That was his joke.
Oh, beer is so good.
Hi. I auditioned last month. They asked me back because they're stupid. I have 2 poems for you guys. One is short and quick. The other one's about my penis.
Is it short and quick?
Also short and quick. Thank you. So, oh, sorry. Whatever. First one's called After You Left. The telephone is put on a bathrobe complaining that my constant staring makes it feel naked. And I find myself out in the street interrogating raindrops as to your whereabouts. This one particular raindrop keeps being very evasive, answering metaphors. I might have to get rough. Happiness stumbles along smelling of Jack Daniels and old southern gumbo sauce. My own thoughts, wearing cheap sunglasses, the size of holes, the size of headaches, and you can read them like a menu of stains. I've begun to bottle my tears to serve as holy water to help me sleep at night. All the vowels of my vocabulary are now the lookouts on my windowsill, waiting to trumpet your return. My penis is a leprechaun. I'm 138% Irish. My full name is Ryan Michael O'Lacey. So, St. Pat's was Friday. I had to write, my penis is a leprechaun.
St. Pat was Saturday, you forgot.
Saturday? I was drunk
I know you were.
most of it. It's been 5 years, 1 month, and 27 days. That's not right. I'm a guy. I don't know these things. It's been 5 years, 1 month, and 27 days since the first time I saw you naked. Since the night you ripped off your shirt, stuck your boobies in my face, and said, touch them. I'll touch them. Like a diabetic third grader opening a Snickers bar, you said hard. I thought, yes, I am. You're so soft. I said your lips. They're like whale blubber. That wasn't my best line. But it worked. Maybe tomorrow, my absolute insanity combined with the absolute obstacle course of your communication skills will leave us like a love letter in a landfill. So on the nights you sleep like a ballerina, I'll try to snore like a piccolo. I'll press my lips to your holy temple and say, I crash into things in the dark, even when the lights are on. I'm wrong more often than I'm right, and even then, I'm often wrong. I've spent my life in the bathroom at a bar, powdered glass rolling dollar bills into telescopes, claiming I could see God. I will come to you, holding my grandmother's Bible. I will press it to your chest, you'll bless it with your breath. And when you ask if I want to role play, altar boys fucking in the church bathroom during Sunday Mass, I will say, hell yes. And you will say, but only if you leave a hickey on my ass in the shape of Jesus' palm so I know I've been nailed. My penis is an awkward leprechaun that has not gotten lovely nearly as much as it's gotten bored, standing patiently in my pants while the rest of me wrote this self-help poetry trying to look sexy and green until the day I met your mouth. It's like a St. Patrick's Day parade. Your tongue, like a float you kept throwing candy from. You make me so hot. The first time you touched me, I burned down a Christmas tree. So I put your star on top of a 4-leaf clover. I built from three-leaf clovers and some crazy glue, because I'm crazy about you. And not because you have a personality. Everyone has a personality. You have an ass. That makes me want to objectify you. And this awkwardness takes me back to my youth. At 11 years old, I told my mother that my underwear felt funny. She asked, well, what could it be? But I knew. It was Satan. Him and his evil snakes poking around in my innocence. It was my jackrabbit Elvis pelvis making friends with the living room pillows. My mom said, what'd you do to all the pillows? They have no fluff left. I did not confess. I ruffled the feathers. I buried my hump in their soft seam songs, and they didn't confess either. Now you ask what's the moral of my story? Never let your leprechaun wear a cross to the parade in your pants. Never ever, ever, ever fuck the pillow in your mother's living room couch. Fuck the pillows in your own room till you find someone who likes the color green and has feathers in her hair. How much fun? Go ahead. You want more? All right. You will either trash the government or trash lost love. I'll let you decide. The government or lost love? Love? Both? Lost government? They're all lost. Government first. This is called prophet. Jesus was a revolutionary, a prophet. His mother Mary was a goddess. Still, neither could have prophesied the dark that is upon us now, since the Christian right went wrong. Now white men drop bombs in the name of faith. Born of a song of thou shalt not kill, left to the will of their God unheard, every word ignored in the name of prophet, while it was their prophet breaking bread with the poor, walking on bare feet. Now they're talking the path of God and they're walking the path of greed, preaching, do not do unto others do unto others as they would do unto you. But they painted their cross red, white, and blue 140,000 Japanese people away in one day, or creeping through villages last night in Afghanistan. Gun blast, drafting children as dead soldiers, still young enough to be angels. See, they'll always be their brother's keeper, as long as their brothers are rich and white. You only have to look at the facts. Death row is black. The clothes on the American backs are sewn by brown hands. In lands they've made, theirs for the taking, raping whole cultures while proclaiming themselves holy. But their holes are so deep in their truth, Jesus would weep for his own name being used and abused like this. Christian means Christ-like. Christ was neither white nor like this, neither white nor like your so-called Christian right. There's no such thing as a right wing. Wings are made for angels. I have yet to see a halo on your head. Blasphemy defines the images you've said, quoting scripture amongst your war cries, your belly full and warm, while millions die beneath the weight of your own sins. There are days I'm ashamed to wear the color of your skin. There are days I'm ashamed I ever thought to pray to the same God as you, but I don't really think I ever did. I don't believe that's true, because Christian means Christ-like, and Christ was not like you, not like this. Wasn't bound to the cross wearing combat boots and clenched fists. Tonight was as the world wails an unbelievable suffering, you are the thorns and nails. How many more you'll crucify with your white lies, deeming yourself supreme and above, when your God's love is the last thing you'll ever live by? Better cross your heart and hope to die a peaceful death, because before Jesus comes back, finds his way to NBC and CBS, calls you out on all the war you've been living, all the peace you've been talking. Now that would be some reality TV worth watching. I got one more, is that good? Yeah? Why not? Beer. It's so good. I'm so fat. A working list of things I will never tell you. When you walked off into the sunset, there were no blackouts or cameras behind you. You did not recede into the distance. You were still very much present with those of you left behind. And it's hard work to write the poetry in the dark. Its painters were slack in their brush. I used this paint-sharpened pen to cut the verbs from my blood. I've been trying to grow larger than the monsters in my dreams. It feels like dawn, but it's only 3:45 on my watch. I scream at myself in moonlight for writing poems about you still. I've tried not to make a scene, but I think about you almost every morning. Roughly every 5 days, I still believe you're here. I still masturbate to you. When we got really bad, I'd put another coat of mop water on the floor of the bar to make sure you were asleep when I got home to my side of the bed. And you're the only person who I've lied to, knowing I was telling the truth. I miss the way your neck wraps around my face like a cave we're both lost in. I remember you telling me, being with me is like being alone with company. You're a shadow my body leaves on other girls. And I have a growing queue of things I know will make you laugh, and I don't know where to put them. I mourn you like you're dead. You're not dead. You're minutes away, hours away, miles away, a lifetime away. You're just away. If I would have asked you to stay, you would not have said no, but it would not have meant yes. I've been lost so long I don't recognize the person wearing my own clothes. We create our own definition of mercy. We tried to show mercy, like somebody shoving a stick of morphine through our hearts. And God damn, it was amazing those days you were happy to see me. This is an apology letter to the both of us for how long it took me to let things go. It was not my intention to make such a production of the emptiness between us, writing poetry and dust on the tombstone of our past lives, trying to keep some ex-best friend's dead perspective alive. It's just that I could have sworn you wrote me a love poem back there, and that you meant it. But I guess some people see ghosts made up of dust, blowing from empty stones. So I ate earplugs, hoping they would get lodged deep enough in the empty spots so I wouldn't have to hear you leaving. So I wouldn't have to hear my heartbeat keep saying all my eggs are in one basket, filled with white flags, knowing I just gave up. I buried my tired eyes in a bucket of pitch black blindfolds, covered my mouth in duct tape I'm writing this poetry on. I just want to dance with you. Less like the waltz for panic and more like the way we hope to swing. Last night we took off everything. We were swinging for the fences. Don't hold it against me, love. You know I want to breathe deeper than this. I don't mean to look so serious. Didn't mean to act like the filthy floor for us to dance alone. Didn't mean to turn us both into some cutting board. But there were your knives stuck in the poems I came from. I've spent too much time in the back of my words. I pulled your knives from my back. And the front of these words, I cut trombones. From the moment you slipped away, I know I brought a pen to the knife fight, baby. But my words cut just as deep as your blades do, baby. And I might have gone and lost my breath. But I want to show you I found my breath to death, and it burned and I'm buried in moonshine and faded ink stains. God damn! If you ever want to know how it felt when you left, if you ever want to come inside, just knock on the spot where I finally pressed stop. I just had to stop. I had to stop playing musical chairs with your exit signs. Forgiveness is for anybody going on a trip who needs safe passage through my mind. Thank you.
That guy has gotten me kicked out of some very nice places. It gets pretty rotten when we're together. Speaking of getting kicked out of places, it's kind of ironic that we're called the samurai of spoken word because there's quite a few of us in this group that have trained in the martial arts. I just happen to be an instructor. I'm a sensei in the martial arts. And there was one day that my instructor nearly threw me out of class. I was about 20 years old. When you always have one in every class, the what if kid. What if he hit you with the other hand? What if he had a hold of you first? What if? So this kid, my sensei made the mistake of once saying that a knife could be double-edged. And we're working with a knife. And the kid would always ask, what if he came at you with a double-edged blade? Well, you do something different. And it's something completely fucking different than what he was trying to teach. But he showed it. So one day we were doing a little grappling. And those of you that have ever seen the UFC, you know that they wear a gi sometimes, and they choke, and they grab, and they grapple with it. And so this gentleman was on top of my sensei, and he reached up and grabbed him and rolled him over with his gi, and this kid looks at me and says, what if he was naked? Being one of the senior students, I looked at him and I said, Nick, if naked men are attacking you, you need more than fucking Aikido to help you. Go tell your teacher. With that, I think we're going to take a little intermission. We'll take about 10 minutes. If you smoke, go smoke. If you get a drink, go get a drink. Go pee. Do what you got to do because we got more spoken word coming up for you after this.